You know, sometimes the most powerful stories, they're not these huge, epic novels. Sometimes they're told in just 4 simple panels. Today, we're going to break down an absolute masterclass in storytelling that's packed into one tiny comic strip. Let's dive right in.
Okay, so here it is, the whole comic. At first glance, it seems pretty simple, right? It just looks like a chat between 2 roommates, this rabbit and this dog. But trust me, there's a whole mini mystery unfolding here. It's this perfectly built joke where the punchline, well, it changes everything.
All right, let's start where every story does. At the beginning, we're going to look at this first panel and break down the story the artist is trying to sell us.
So the scene opens and we've got this rabbit who is just clearly in the middle of a rant. I mean, look at his posture. He's all confident, almost a little arrogant, right? He's laying out his whole complaint to his friend here, telling his side of the story about his other roommate, Creamy. And just listen to the words he's using. Absolutely intolerable. Whoa. That's not a minor complaint, is it? It's so definitive, so extreme. And it's on purpose. It's designed to make us immediately think, wow, Creamy must be the villain here. We're basically being set up to take his word as fact.
Okay, so let's move on to the second panel. We're going to see how this story builds, because this, right here, is where the artist starts planting those first little seeds of doubt in our minds. Okay, look closely. See that subtle shift in his posture? He's a little more defensive now, hand on his chin, thinking. It's like he's not just complaining anymore. Now he's defending himself. But wait a minute, defending himself from what? As far as we know, nobody's even accused him of anything. Totally ridiculous, of course. Ah, there it is. That phrase is the key. Why does he even need to add that? You know, it's that classic thing, he doth protest too much. It really feels like he's trying a little too hard to convince us, and maybe even himself. And this is the exact moment where we, as the audience, should start to get a little suspicious. You gotta ask yourself, is this rabbit really the poor victim he's making himself out to be? Or is there something else going on entirely? This is where the whole thing gets super clever.
So what we're dealing with here is a really classic and really powerful storytelling tool. It's called the unreliable narrator. We're being led through this story by a character who's got a seriously biased and maybe even totally dishonest point of view. From this moment on, we just can't take anything he says at face value. Okay, let's move on to panel 3. Because this is where a new piece of evidence gets dropped into the mix, a real twist that seems to fly right in the face of everything our narrator has been saying.
So he says, at least she's shaped up long enough to give me my birthday present. Wait, what? So this roommate, the one he called absolutely intolerable, she just gave him a birthday gift? I mean, that's a really nice thing to do, isn't it? It just doesn't line up at all with the picture he's been painting of her.
So what are we supposed to think now? Is Creamy actually not so bad? Was the rabbit just exaggerating the whole time? Or hey, maybe this gift is like an olive branch, you know? A sign that they've patched things up. The artist just leaves us hanging in this moment of uncertainty.
And that uncertainty, it's the perfect setup for what's coming next. The stage is set, the tension is there, and now, in this last panel, the entire story is about to get flipped completely on its head. Okay, so the rabbit looks down at the present from Creamy, and what is it? It's a Mr. Granola bar. He says something out loud, and for just a split second, you almost believe he's being genuine. It almost sounds like he's grateful. He goes, "That's pretty nice." And you can just feel that little pause, can't you? That big butt is just hanging there in the air. So the real question is, what is he really thinking? And there it is, the punchline. Not spoken out loud, but in a thought bubble. I wonder what I can get for it. Boom. In that one single devastatingly selfish thought, his true character is just completely exposed. So the whole thing hinges on this incredible contrast, what he says versus what he thinks. Out loud, he's keeping up this paper-thin layer of politeness, but in his head, his mind is already jumping to how he can profit from this gift. He's not the victim here, he is 100% the user. It turns out, Creamy wasn't paranoid at all, she was right on the money. So the big question is, why does this little 4-panel story work so well? How does it pack such a punch? Well, it all comes down to a few really brilliant fundamental storytelling tricks. Okay, let's break it down. First, you've got the unreliable narrator, who totally leads us astray. Then, there's dramatic irony. That's when we, the audience, know the truth that Creamy doesn't. We know he's a freeloader.
Third, the punchline isn't just a gag, it's the big reveal of who he really is. And finally, it's a perfect example of show don't tell. Instead of just telling us the rabbit is selfish, the artist shows us with that one little thought bubble, which is way, way more powerful.
And all of this really leaves us with one final big question to chew on. The rabbit. He built this perfect little story where he was the victim, the good guy, and it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? And all the little conflicts in our own lives, how often are we the unreliable narrator of our own story?